Hello, YouTube friends. Welcome to the cabin. I'm Sarah, and I am glad that you are joining me today. I thought I would take a few minutes to talk about the top 10 items that I find necessary when I am off the grid and I am doing sewing or quilting projects. I've tried really hard to limit it to 10. Some of those things may have a few extras in there. But let's get started. I'm going to show you what I keep here in my off-grid sewing kit. I know you've seen me using it sometimes, but my headlamp is essential. I really recommend one of these, even if you are at home in a sewing area that's just not very well lit. This really puts out nice light and directs it exactly where you need it. If you can't see well, it's really hard to have fun doing any of your projects. So a headlamp is ideal. This is a black diamond. It's actually for hiking, and it's amazing. I love it. So that's my number one thing that I have with me. Also, you definitely need a good, sharp pair of scissors. Any scissors that you like and that you feel comfortable using are great. I have two pair here, but one pair is sufficient. If I could only have one pair with me, I would have this kind of medium-sized pair. These are Karen K. Buckley, and they're really sharp, but you just want a sharp pair of scissors. If you don't have a sharp pair, you'll just be fighting with yourself along the way. Sharp pair of scissors is key. You're also going to need a ruler of some sort. Now, there are two that I really rely on. One is because I'm rotary cutting, you need some sort of rotary cutting ruler. This happens to be a 3.5 by 12.5. Honest to Pete, this isn't my favorite ruler to use, but it fits right on my small cutting mat that I have. So for that, it's perfect. Think about the cutting mat that you're using. If you have a big cutting mat, a bigger ruler would be great. I don't up here, so this smaller ruler is fine. I wouldn't want one any smaller than this, though. Now, along the same lines, because I tend to bring quilt tops up here to finish, I also need a longer measuring surface or longer measuring tool. I really rely on my little roll-up, old-fashioned, I guess it would be called a dressmaker's tape, but you know, you may have one of these around your house. This is invaluable to me up here, so I use this a lot. Next thing I can't do without are some sort of pins. Pins or little quilt clips. Both if you have the luxury, but one or the other for sure. There's times when you need that. This is on one of my favorite pin cushions that a sweet friend made me, and I've got an assortment of pins here. I also do keep some quilt clips, essential to have. And I would really recommend a good sharp pin. Give your pin a try. If you're struggling to get it through the fabric, again, that's just no fun to do. So pins or clips are another essential item. I have lost count of how many we're at, but I'll be putting the numbers and the words up on the screen there, which brings me to the next point. The reason I've lost count is because I made myself a nice little list here, and I can't read it without putting my reading glasses on. If you need reading glasses in your life, I really recommend keeping an extra pair in your sewing kit, because it's the pits when you lose your pair and then you can't see to do what it is you want to do. Now, as for a sewing box or container, I have this little doodad, and I actually stumbled across this accidentally at a kind of a discount store that I went in to check it out, and I think it was 50 cents. I think it's supposed to be a lunchbox, and it's missing some stuff. It's perfect. It's metal, so it stays shut. It has this little non-skid surface on the bottom, which happens to be really nice. And it's divided up here. And I can pretty much fit my essentials all in here, except for my ruler. Anything would work. You know, look around and see what you might have. Some sort of little container to keep your things together is really nice to have. The next thing I like to keep is something to mark my fabric with. These are the 3 things that I keep. Sometimes I have a friction pin in here, but I don't. This is a silver marking pencil for fabric. This is a white chalk marking pencil for fabric. And this is a blue water washable marking pencil or marker for fabric. And when I have all 3 of these, I can mark on any color that I want. If I'm using black fabric and I need to draw a line, I can easily use this white pencil. This wouldn't work on a light fabric, but this blue one would. And the silver kind of bridges the gap. So whatever sort of marking tool you have, think about what something that's going to suit the variety of fabrics you're using. They don't have to be fancy and expensive. Try out some different ones and see what you like. You're also going to want to have an extra spool of thread or 2, and I recommend just a neutral color. I keep a dark color on hand or 2. This is a navy, this is a black. I have an ecru that I keep on my machine. And that's really all that you have to work on the projects you want to do. If you are doing hand sewing, you're going to want to have some hand needles in your kit as well. I do mostly machine sewing up here, so I have my hand crank machine. I certainly love this, and I really do rely on this while I'm up here, and I feel so fortunate to have it. So, you know, I will throw that in as something that I have, and I do enjoy using this up here. As well, going along with that, I'll take this off and show you. I prefer to have a 1/4 inch foot on here, and this is a little foot. It's a low shank model. You just need to know what shank style your machine is. And I will put a link to where you can go to find out what that is, because you're just going to measure from the screw down, and then you'll know what kind of 1/4 inch foot you need. And that is so handy to have. And most vintage machines will accept a modern foot if you know what the shank style is. So this is also something that I have with me as well. And another thing I would like to point out about this is just a very basic machine. So if you are on grid and you're getting started, you don't need the fanciest machine out there to get started. You just need to get started and determine if it's something you love doing. Then you can talk to your friends, see what machines they have, what they like, do a little research, and as you can, you know, build up to that ultimate dream machine that it is you want. But really, just something basic will do the job. The other thing I have in here, and this is assuming that you have a sewing machine with you, I have extra sewing machine needles, because you never know what's going to happen. I have a tiny little screwdriver that would go along with the sewing machine. And I also have in here extra rotary cutter blades. I believe it was in my last video when I was making the flying geese. You probably noticed as I was cutting, I was struggling, and that is just not good. So keep a little pack of an extra blade or 2 in your sewing kit. You'll thank yourself when you need one. What else do I have here? A purple thing. I use my purple thing a lot. This end here is a 1/4 inch, so that's very handy. This end here is a little bit of a scoop, so you can poke edges out without piercing through the fabric. My mom designed this probably 30 years ago, and it is fantastic. There are imposters out there. There are fake purple things. They often come in different colors. They are not as strong and flexible as this, and they're imposters. So stick with the real one. I can't be without my purple thing when I'm up here. Other than that, that's basically it. I'm going to look at my list and see if there's anything on there I have forgotten. But that's pretty much it. Now, an iron is wonderful, and you all have watched me use my sad irons as I'm learning and experimenting about those. If you can't have an iron with you, that is okay. I would recommend some sort of little wooden iron or wooden pressing tool that you can use. Some people use a little wallpaper roller or brayer, they're called. You can use a little wooden iron. This is one my friend Susan gave me. You just need something like that. Those are the things that I keep in my off-grid sewing kit, and so far I've been able to finish quite a few projects with these few items. So hopefully that inspires you, even if you're not off-grid, but you're just getting started in quilting. You can get started with the very most basic of supplies and play with them and add in as you go along and as your budget allows. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day.